You ever feel like you're just bombarded with marketing everywhere you turn?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like trying to pick out one specific grain of sand, on a beach.
Right.
How do you even begin to make something stand out when there's just so much noise?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today, the power of storytelling and marketing. We'll be
Okay.
looking at storytelling and marketing for this deep dive.
Sounds good. Well, it really is amazing how our brains are just wired for stories. If you think back through history, like cave paintings to, the latest viral videos,
Mm.
stories have always been how we understand the world, you know?
It's not just about entertainment, though, right?
Right.
Storytelling in marketing points out that we process and retain information so much better in a narrative format.
Absolutely.
So, like, how does that actually work?
Well, stories tap into our emotions, right? It helps
Yeah.
us connect with information on a much deeper level.
Mm.
Remember TOMS shoes? They
Yeah.
blew up in popularity, and it wasn't just about selling shoes. It was about weaving a story that made people feel like they were part of something bigger.
A part of a mission.
Exactly.
So instead of just listing features and benefits, like brands are really starting to use stories to connect with their audiences.
You got it.
Okay.
Think about it this way.
Right.
Reading a company's mission statement versus hearing the founder tell their story.
Right.
One's informative, but the other draws you in and makes you feel something.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do brands go about creating these compelling narratives?
Oh.
Ones that resonate.
Storytelling and marketing outlines a few key elements.
Okay.
First, you need a relatable protagonist.
Okay.
Now, this could be the brand itself or a representative customer, but the key is to create a character your audience can see themselves in.
Like an avatar almost.
Exactly.
Ah.
Someone they can root for.
Right.
Like, a great example is Dove's Real Beauty campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Their protagonist isn't a supermodel, it's everyday women. And that makes their message relatable to a much wider audience.
So we've got the relatable protagonist.
Right.
What makes their story captivating?
Conflict. Every story needs tension, right?
Uh-huh.
Some obstacle to overcome.
Yeah.
This could be the problem that the brand solves for the customer, or even the challenges the company faced.
So creating a scenario where the stakes are high,
Exactly.
keep the audience on the edge of their seats.
Think of Apple's 1984 ad. They
Yeah.
positioned themselves as the rebels.
Right, fighting against the big brother.
Exactly. It resonated with people who felt stifled by the status quo.
Hmm.
And it really propelled Apple as the brand for the creative individual.
Okay, so we've got a relatable protagonist facing a compelling conflict.
Right.
What happens next?
Well, every story needs a resolution.
Yeah, of course.
This is where the brand showcases how they help the protagonist overcome the challenge and achieve their goals.
So it's not just a happily ever after, it's how the brand plays a role in that ending.
Precisely. This is where brands like Patagonia shine.
Hmm.
Their story is all about protecting wild spaces.
Yeah.
And their protagonist is like the adventurer, the environmentalist.
Yep.
The conflict is the threats these spaces face.
Right.
And the resolution is empowering customers to experience and advocate for the environment.
Makes sense.
It's a story that aligns perfectly with their values and resonates deeply with their target audience.
It's not just about crafting a good plot, though, right?
Right.
Storytelling and marketing also talked about the need for authenticity and emotional resonance.
Absolutely. The story needs to feel genuine,
Yeah.
not like a sales pitch.
Right.
It needs to evoke real emotions, whether it's joy, inspiration, nostalgia, or even a sense of belonging. Think about Coca-Cola's Share a Coke campaign.
Yeah.
They used personalized bottles to tap into feelings of connection, strengthening their bond with consumers.
It's funny you mentioned that because Coca-Cola has always evoked like a sense of happiness for me.
Right.
It's like to get an
Exactly.
That's definitely emotional resonance at work.
That's it. The most effective stories connect with us on a gut level,
Yeah.
making us feel something and believe in something.
So it's not enough to just tell any story.
No.
It has to be a story that's true to the brand and connects with the audience.
Exactly.
Love that.
And that's what separates a good marketing campaign from a truly great one.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's interesting that storytelling and marketing also touched on using storytelling internally within a company,
Yeah.
not just for marketing.
Right. It's an often overlooked aspect.
Mm.
Internal storytelling can be really powerful,
Yeah.
especially for building a strong company culture.
How so?
Well, it helps boost employee morale.
I can see that.
Having that shared narrative
Yeah.
really helps employees feel more connected to the company's mission.
Like they're all part of something bigger.
Exactly. It creates a sense of belonging and purpose.
Makes sense.
When everyone understands the brand story
Yeah.
from the CEO down to the newest intern, it creates a really unified and motivated workforce.
So it's like everyone's on the same page.
Yeah,
They know not just what they're doing, but why.
you got it.
Okay, I see.
Like Zappos, for example.
Hmm.
They're famous for their customer service, right?
Yeah.
A lot of that comes from their strong internal culture,
Okay.
which is built around core values.
Right.
And they use storytelling to reinforce those values,
Interesting.
sharing stories of employees going above and beyond for customers.
So it's not just slogans or mission statements.
No,
It's about weaving the brand story into the company itself.
exactly. It's about those customer success stories,
Uh-huh.
employee achievements, and the impact the company makes.
Yeah.
It brings the story to life for everyone in the organization.
And storytelling and marketing also mentioned that crafting the brand story,
Yeah.
it's not just a one-time thing.
Right. It's an ongoing process. It
Mm.
needs to be nurtured and it needs to evolve.
Okay.
As the brand grows, the market changes, the world changes,
Yeah.
the story has to adapt.
So it's like tending a garden.
I like that.
You're constantly pruning, weeding, adjusting to make sure it keeps growing.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Marketers need to be vigilant storytellers.
Makes sense.
They need to listen to their audience,
Yeah.
analyze market trends, refine the narrative.
You don't want it to get stale
Exactly. You have to make sure it still speaks to the audience.
in a meaningful way.
Precisely. It's a balance between staying true to the brand
Right.
and responding to the changing needs of the audience.
Think about Lego.
Yeah,
They've been around forever,
right.
but they've evolved their story for each new generation,
It's true.
tapping into that nostalgia for parents,
Yeah,
but also capturing the imaginations of kids today.
with their movies and video games.
Exactly.
It's amazing how they've stayed relevant.
And beloved.
Yeah. When a brand can do that, the results are incredible.
Mm.
Think about the brands that you love.
Yeah.
What are their stories? How do they make you feel? What values do they represent?
Mm.
Chances are they've mastered storytelling.
It's like they've invited us into their world,
Right.
and we've become part of their community.
Exactly. And that feeling of connection, that's powerful.
Okay, so storytelling and marketing gave us a lot to think about.
It did.
We started by looking at how our brains are wired for stories
Right.
and how we process and retain information.
Mm.
We explored how storytelling goes beyond features and benefits.
Yeah.
It creates a brand identity
It builds trust.
and forges connections with the audience.
Right.
We talked about the relatable protagonist, the compelling conflict, the resolution, authenticity, emotional resonance,
Absolutely.
and keeping a consistent narrative.
Across all platforms.
Yeah.
Important stuff.
And we discussed how storytelling isn't just for external marketing.
Right.
It shapes company culture
Mm.
and engages employees.
Very important.
So what does all this mean for our listeners?
Well,
Why should they care about the power of story?
because in a world overflowing with information, stories are the key to cutting through the noise, making your message memorable.
Okay.
So whether you're a marketer, a business owner, or just someone who wants to understand the world better,
Yeah.
storytelling is valuable.
It is. It's about understanding that we crave connection,
Yeah,
meaning, and the sense of belonging.
exactly.
And stories are the way to deliver those things.
Beautifully put. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
we're left with a thought-provoking question.
What's your story?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a question we should all be asking ourselves, you know? What experiences have shaped us? What values drive us?
Right.
What message do we want to share with the world?
We've been looking at brand stories this whole time,
Yeah.
but we all have our own stories too, right?
Absolutely. Think about the times you've really connected with someone.
Uh-huh.
It probably happened by sharing personal experiences,
Yeah.
vulnerabilities, dreams. You know, those are
Yeah.
the things that make up our own narratives.
So storytelling and marketing focused on brands,
Right.
but it feels like these principles could apply to our personal lives too.
Oh, for sure, without a doubt.
Yeah.
The same elements that make a brand story so compelling
Right.
apply to our own storytelling.
Okay.
We all have that relatable protagonist ourselves.
Mhm.
We all face conflicts and challenges.
Right.
And through it all, we grow, we find resolution.
Yeah.
We shape our own life stories.
That's kind of empowering when you think about it.
It is.
Like we're all authors
Exactly.
of our own stories.
The more we understand the power of storytelling,
Yeah.
the better we can communicate and connect and inspire.
Mm.
Think about the people you really admire.
Yeah.
The ones who just captivate a room.
Uh-huh.
They're usually masters of storytelling, weaving stories and experiences into their conversations.
So how do we get better at telling our own stories?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a natural storyteller.
Well, it's a skill.
Okay.
You can develop it just like any other.
So,
Start by paying attention to the stories that you enjoy. What resonates with you about them? Analyze them.
using that framework.
Yeah, the relatable protagonist, the conflict, the resolution,
Authenticity.
emotional resonance.
It's like reverse engineering a good story.
Exactly.
Okay.
Figure out what makes them work.
Yeah.
And then try incorporating those things into your own stories. Practice sharing your experiences.
Okay.
Pay attention to how people react.
Uh-huh.
See what works and what doesn't.
So be mindful of the stories we're telling
Yes.
and how to shape them to connect with people.
That's it.
That's a great takeaway from storytelling and marketing.
I think so.
Yeah.
Remember, whether you're building a brand or leading a team or just sharing your experiences with someone you love,
Yeah.
the power of story can help you connect, inspire, and make a difference.
It all comes back to stories.
We are all storytellers in the end.
That's a good way to put it.
And our stories have the power to change the world.